Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Assalatu Wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are well. During this time, we are basically moving forward now. Inshallah, the things will change in a positive dimension, and we will have a normal life again very soon. And that is the expectation, and only Allah knows. So today, I'm planning to cover a different area. Probably you have watched some of the videos. Probably I have covered the role of finance, now role of a CFO, and sometimes a role of a head of HR. But what the HR do, uh, that I covered. But my journey with the exploration of the role of the C-suite and what I came up with, there's misunderstanding between. I don't I won't say misunderstanding. There is a lack of understanding the what is the role of a COO, and there's a clear understanding that what is the role of a CEO, that is available, and people know what is the role of a CEO and what is expected from a CEO. Probably people know, but the problem is with the role COO, and the difference normally from my research, my understanding, my uh, clarity, I will share something that I came up uh, from my practical experience, because in my last role I was a CEO of a FMCG company, and what I saw, people really misunderstood this role sometimes, and the people who want to be a CEO one day, should they need to go through the process of becoming a CEO, COO? Maybe not. Maybe definitely it may help. It depends on from where you move to the next layer. Basically, I love one thing that is called Leadership Pipeline by Ramcharan and Stephen Daughter and Noel Tishi. It's an amazing book that explains how the business leaders should grow themselves level by level, from manage self to manage others, ultimately business leaders, then enterprise manager, then group manager. This is very clear. But the problem is in real life there are some designation, there are some names we put that is not, probably do not, that does not reflect uh, the leadership pipeline. That's why people sometimes gets confused. So let me describe the core role of a CEO, COO. Then let me add something which will make a CEO a CEO. So from that perspective, the first thing the said actually, uh, I, I I will cover 5 points, inshallah. 5 points, the role of a COO. The number one thing, when any acceleration, A for the first job of a CEO is to accelerate growth. Accelerate growth. Any acceleration in the organization in expected, when the business acceleration is expected, normally people look at the CEO. Then the CEO basically seek help from the COO. So normally, within the business, the acceleration is driven by COO. So number one is the role of a COO is accelerate growth. Number two, this is the basically defining role of a CEO, which is called balancing demand and supply, because the CEO is responsible for accelerating growth. So for growth acceleration, demand acceleration is required. So that's why after the acceleration, the role of a CEO is fulfilling that demand through providing ensuring the high level of supply chain or supply. So balancing the demand and supply is the key role of a CEO, COO. Anyone who is doing this, he is a COO. That is called balancing demand and supply of the organization. He can do it from 2-3 dimension. He can do it from a supply chain point of view, he can do it from a marketing point of view, and even he can do it from a finance coordination point of view. That can be done. So this role is very much dependent on this thing. Anyone who is not balancing this demand and supply cannot be called COO. And supply includes your production, supply includes your supply chain, your distribution network, supply includes your other sourcing and other thing also. So the number two, balancing demand and supply. Number three, care for the conflicts. So it is a COO normally the day-to-day conflicts, day-to-day operational conflicts, he resolves all these things. That's why I'm saying carrying the conflicts. Number three. Number four, the role of a CEO is diffusing the competitive move. The competition will take move uh, anytime the competition can take a new move in new direction, and they can sometimes they can counter attack, they can attack. So diffusing the competition is one of the role of the COO. And normally the CEO looks at the CEO for help. So this is number four. Number five is E for excellence. Excellence in the business processes. The business doesn't run on its own. It depends on different processes. So the excellence in processes, and to ensure the excellence is processes, the role of a COO, because CEO is the main customer when he takes the responsibility to balance the demand and supply. So he also looks in the processes. So that is the role of a CEO. So I covered 5 point the role of a CEO. Number one, again, I repeat, accelerate the growth. Number two, balancing demand and supply. Number three is caring for the conflicts. Number four, diffuse the competitive move. And number five, excellence in processes. Now let me add few things which will make a COO a CEO. You see, in the COO role, normally the CEO doesn't look into the investment part of the organization. Normally the investment decision, normally the meeting the board, the board or expecting meeting the expectation of the board is the role of a CEO. And the business strategy, the business drive, the business strategy and business where to invest, the investment decisions, where to grow in which direction, this everything basically lies on the role of the CEO. And CEO takes the strategic call, as CEO is a strategy ambassador of the strategy. So, and that's why the CEO takes also the functional shape up of the organization normally falls under the CEO. That means all functions like HR, IT, finance, normally they report to the CEO. Also the COO reports to the CEO. That's so the CEO basically adds up these three things: the functional, helping the function to shape up their activities with the company strategy. That's thing added with the CEO role to be a CEO, and also the investment decision, managing the board, and also the company culture and other thing. Actually the role of a CEO, because strategy, when I say strategy, it is your business strategy, it is your functional strategy, it is your people strategy, it is your IT strategy. That strategy is a part of the CEO. It's not normally CEO can participate, but it is not CEO's role to drive the strategy. To driving the strategy is the role of a CEO. So this is the fine line between the COO and CEO. And it is very easy for a functional head, for a head of marketing or functional head to become a CEO, because balancing demand and supply is, if it is the core thing of a CEO, that functional heads can become a CEO. But the problem is when the role of a CEO is somewhat different, because the role of a CEO is maximize the shareholders' value. But in a nutshell, COO also plays that role. But the one single person in the organization who's focused is maximizing the shareholders' value, is responsible to the board, is a CEO. So that was for today's session. It was I came up this thing basically while I was trying to shape up my role in an organization. So maybe someone can add, and I hope this clarification will help people to understand the COO role better. Again, repeat one point. Repeat what if in one sentence, if you want to answer what is the role of a COO. The role of a COO is managing growth and balancing the demand and supply. So that's all for today. I hope all the best for all of you. Inshallah, I will come up with another functional area probably in future. So until next time, I wish all the best. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.